Never mind.
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Town of Barnstable Board of Health for Tuesday, August 22nd. Roll call, please.
Yes, Tom Lee. Dr. Guadagnoli. Dr. Leskow. Dr. Caniff.
Here.
John Norman.
Here,
Dr. Waller. Thank you. Okay, it's a quorum.
having quorum. This meeting will be replayed via Xfinity Channel 8 or High Definition Channel 1072. It may also be accessed via the Government Access Channel live video on demand, archives on the Town of Barnstable website. The first item on the agenda, innovative alternative system secondary treatment unit was withdrawn without prejudice by the applicant. So we will move right into the second item on the agenda, which was a show cause hearing for tobacco violations. Bob from Tobacco Control, welcome.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the board. I believe we're going to discuss the violations that occurred on May 8th of this year.
Why don't you go, we'll do one at a time. The first listed is Cape Mart, 130 Center Street in Hyannis.
Okay. Yes, at 11:51 a.m. on May 8th, 2023, 18-year-old male successfully purchased a package of Game cigars for $1.05 at Cape Mart and was not asked for ID.
Okay, thank you. Good afternoon. You represent the Cape Mart? Okay. Make sure that yellow light is bright on.
Okay, there it is. Is that better?
Thank you.
Yeah.
And you've heard the testimony from the
Yep.
Tobacco Control. Do you have anything to add to it?
Yeah, so an employee made a mistake. We reprimanded him, talked him through it. As we remember, like half a year ago, we had that case where 17 stores came in. Since then, we talked to all our employees, pushed the idea of, like, you got to check everybody, no matter what. We had a couple other stores who were here that day. They all passed the inspection. This one person, he knew what he should have done, but he didn't do it. We reprimanded him, showed him the video, did everything like that. But he just made a mistake, and we can't do anything about that. So we just have to accept it. But we do have other stores who were here at that last meeting. They all passed, and will continue to pass, and so will this store going forward. It's just unfortunate.
Okay, thank you for that. The mandate is for a, Bob, I believe a $2,000 fine?
Yeah, this is a second offense, I believe, so it's a $2,000 fine and a suspension of between 1 and 7 days at the
Okay.
discretion of the board. I don't think that the local regulation provides for a suspension at this present time, but the state requires it, so.
Okay.
Back at the February 28th meeting of the Board of Health, the board voted for a $1,000 fine, 1-day suspension. On December 25th, 2023, the $1,000 fine was mailed to the operator. My suggestion is if you come up with the longer suspension, that you include December 25th as part of that, would make it simpler. Maybe for the week of December 20th through the 25th or something like that.
Or perhaps both 1 days serving concurrently on December 25th.
Is it 1 day at discretion, or does that go up to
It's
7?
discretion. It's
Okay.
from 1 to 7.
Gotcha.
It's not discretionary. It's either, it has to be at least 1
Gotcha.
and not more than 7.
Okay.
So that's what we're going to discuss now. Members of the board, any suggestions or ideas on this one?
Well,
Or is it pretty much the consensus of, I mean, the fine is out of our hands, that's 2,000, but do you want to do the 1-day suspension concurrent on the 25th of December? Is that a good date for you?
Yeah, but we'd be fine with doing 25th.
Any,
I would go with the 7 days.
okay? Tom?
I would go with the concurrent, but next time in the 30th.
Yeah.
Mike, please. Thank you.
Third offense coming in, then there will be no concurrence. We may go in up to 7 days. The
Yeah, of
option
course.
there. So,
Dr. Waller? Okay, well, we have a little bit of a conflict, so why don't we put it to a
Let me just, if
motion
I
to vote?
could.
Sure, go ahead, Dr. Scott.
I think there is nothing about this that's fair to the small businesses in the community. I think that we've all had employees who've made mistakes. And to be honest, it dumbfounds me that they bothered to send it to us to discuss if they're not going to give us discretion as to what we're doing about it. A fine of $2,000 is ridiculous. Why don't we just shut down the small businesses in Massachusetts and tell them to go somewhere else? The other thing that I'd like to see, especially if this is going to escalate, is I'd like to see the person here who walked in and bought the cigarettes. I want to know what this person looks like, because obviously there also is some discretion that's taken. I assume that I probably wouldn't be asked for ID if I walked in. I assume Dr. Caniff and Dr. Waller probably wouldn't be asked for ID if they went in. And I remember vividly growing up with an 18 or 19-year-old when I worked as a lifeguard way back when, who looked a heck of a lot more like I do now than I did when I was 18 or 19. And if we're going to be forced to move forward on this ridiculousness, I'd at least like to see and probably pull a little more discretion out of it than the state may have wanted, but they shouldn't have sent it here if they didn't want discretion. That said, I'll make a motion that they be concurrent one day on December 25th.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second to issue the one-day suspension concurrent on December 25th and the mandated $2,000 fine. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed?
I'm in favor of the fine.
It's 3-2, so the fine will be issued
Well,
as
Dr.
mandated.
Waller
It's
has to
not.
vote. Oh, did you vote?
Yeah, he voted.
I did.
He raised his hand. Yep. So the fine's mandated, but it'll be a one-day suspension to be served concurrent with the last suspension on December 25th.
So on the same exact day as December 25th, which is not.
In regards to the fine, could we split that up into like 4 payments or spread over like a couple months or something? Because 2,000 straight up, it can be a lot.
That's not that, we don't handle the payment. You'd have to ask the zoning officer, Robin Anderson, if there's a way to break up the payments. That wouldn't be our office.
Got you. So I'll just wait until I get the mail with the fine in it, and then
See
reach out.
if there's options on it.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you so much. Appreciate
you.
it.
Next is Mobile J&J Auto, 381 Camp Street, Hyannis. Bob?
Yes. So on May 8th, 2023, at 12:05 p.m., an 18-year-old male entered Mobile J&J Auto and successfully purchased a package of Crown cigarettes for $9.70. It was not asked for ID.
Okay, thank you. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. My name Jay, owner of Mobile on Camp Street. We have a new employee, so we teach him how to check IDs, to do what's supposed to do. Obviously, she didn't. So what I did now, so each customer comes in, no matter if you know him or not, you have to scan the ID. So that's mandatory with me in my business now. So no matter what, even if you come every day or twice a day, you have to scan the ID. Other than that, I don't know what else to do. Even if I fired her, I can even find somebody else to replace her. So I'm behind the 8 ball. I don't know what to do. So I own like 5 gas stations, and then I'm having the same problem each of them. So $2,000, that's a lot of money. We already paid $1,000. But that's all what I can say.
I know. Thank you. Tom, is
Yes, on Tuesday, February 20th, the Board of Health held a hearing against Mobile J&J Auto, 381 Camp Street. The board voted to issue a $1,000 fine and a one-day suspension on December 25th, 2023.
so if we, similar to what the board just did for the last gentleman, if we have the 1 day, if that's what the board so chooses, if it concurrent with December 25th, be okay again?
Please, yes.
And you know the fine is out of our hands, it's mandated. Okay.
Do you know that we can't split it up?
The fine?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's, once it's issued, it's up to Robin in the zoning enforcement to collect. Now, how they collect, I don't know.
It's not,
But it says $2,000. $400 or $500 fines is $2,000.
I don't know. You ever seen anything like that before, Tom?
no, I haven't.
Bob, can I ask you to, have you seen that before in other towns, how the?
No, no other towns are allowing that. In fact, most towns don't issue a new permit for the next fiscal year if all fines from the previous year are not already paid.
Yeah, a lot of them don't do that.
No.
I know Barnstable does it.
Right.
For the licensing board. Okay. So, any comments or questions from board members?
I think the purpose of the law is to try to reduce the consumption of cigarettes. And I think that's why the law was passed. And as a former smoker, I can agree with the law.
You know, I'm a former smoker too. I agree with reducing cigarette use. I am absolutely 100% in agreement with that. That's not my issue. My issue is we have an increasing number of people who live elsewhere who are smarter than us and are telling us what to do. And it's getting a little tiresome.
Well, I think that's the country.
Well, yeah. All we can do is try and affect our small portion of it. And our small portion of it here, we've already made it unaffordable for half of our employees to live locally. This makes it even more unaffordable. And, you know, we continue to go on a road of making it more and more difficult to live around here and run a business. Or 5 businesses.
John, I would say though, even with these fines, it still do it twice in the same year.
Yeah.
Two times.
You know, he's not, my guess is that he's not bringing PhDs in to sell cigarettes in his store. He's bringing kids in. Kids make mistakes. You know, all of us made mistakes.
If
when we were
if I
kids.
issued a fine every time my landscaper left the property I manage pool gate open, I've taken pictures of it, I've sent him warnings, I've sent, you know, he tells me he's so sorry, the guy that owns the landscape company, I'm so sorry, I can't believe they did that. And then 2 weeks later, I go around the corner and there's the pool gates wide open and they're gone after mowing the lawns. So it happens. No matter what you do, no matter how many times you find people, whatever, mistakes are going to happen.
Can I
So-
say something?
Sure, go ahead.
Okay, honestly, I think it's not fair for us. They trick us. They send us somebody who looks like 21 and over. Why don't you send us somebody who looks like 18 or less and see if we can sell them cigarettes? So honestly, I think it's not fair what they're doing to us and to everybody else in here. Send me somebody who looks 18 and younger than 18 and see if I sell them cigarette or not.
Did you see the person who came in?
No, I wasn't.
Well, I mean, so do you know
Okay,
what?
so I like your idea to bring the person here, see how he looks like.
Well, so you don't know what the person who came.
I mean, I've seen him before, and I didn't sell him, you know? I mean, I've seen him come in, and I was behind a cash register, and
Oh, so you know who?
I know, not because they send different people. I
okay.
don't know. I don't know what they send.
Why don't we let Bob answer that?
First of all, the law is 21 is the legal purchasing age, and Massachusetts law also requires that everybody who appears to be under 27 be ID'd. So it's not easy to get young people to help with this. They have various other jobs, school, all of that stuff. So you take who you can get, and sometimes we have some that look like they're 14, and they still buy. And sometimes we have others that might look like they're 21 or 22 even. But nowadays, kids look a lot differently than they did, let's say, when we were young. The way they dress, maybe the facial hair, all of that stuff. So it's really a matter of the retailers being diligent about who they're selling these products to. It's still the top killer it's the only product that we use, a legal product, that actually kills 2 out of 3 users prematurely. And most, 90% of all smokers start before the age of 18. So once you get to be mature enough, your brain develops, you realize that it's not a good choice to do that. So, it's a matter of just being diligent. With the privilege of holding a permit to sell tobacco in the town of Barnstable comes the great responsibility of following the laws. And we have before us today some establishments that have not, and over the past few occasions that they've been checked. So if this is happening on random occasions whenever we check them, if it's happening today at 3 o'clock, it might be happening at 5 o'clock, 7 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 9 o'clock tomorrow morning. Tomorrow, the next day, 365 days a year. We have no way of knowing. We're only in there once or twice a year, or 3 times if they continue to violate. Nobody wants to be known as the retailer who kids can go and purchase cigarettes at. I understand the economy is tough, but as Dr. Caniff said, the goal here is to keep these products out of the young people's hands to the extent that we can do it. And we like to partner. We like to have a mutual solution here. It's not us out trying to get the retailers. It's not the Board of Health out to penalize the retailers. But there has to be a system in place to make sure that people do follow the rules no matter what your lot in life is. We all have to do it.
The goal is to gain compliance. That's always been the goal. It doesn't matter what the amount of the fine is. It could be only $100.
Right.
The goal is compliance.
Right. And, it's been a very high percentage of illegal sales here. I mean, easily the highest across the Cape for the last few years. And I'm sure that that's not something that any of you would be proud of as the purveyors of public health for this community.
Okay, thank you. All right, so similar to the others, if we have a general disagreement on, the fine is out of our hands, so that's a given. But as far as the suspension 1 day versus 7 days, I would entertain a motion.
Motion to make it a 1-day suspension concurrent with the December 25th.
Second.
Fire.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
3, 4. All those against? 2 against. It passes. Thank you. Next one up is Osterville General Store, 16 West Bay Road, Osterville.
Okay, so on May 8th, 2023, at 11:04 a.m., an 18-year-old male successfully purchased a Game cigar for $1.05 and was asked for ID in this instance, but the sale still occurred. Sometimes clerks will ask for ID and then say, all right, well, I'll sell it to you this time, but don't come back, or what's your date of birth? And then they'll state the date of birth, and then the clerk is unable to do the math in their head, and they make the sale anyway. So that's what happened in this case.
Okay, thank you for that.
Hello, sir.
Good afternoon, welcome.
Good afternoon, sir. I'm from the Austral January store. Yes, sir is mentioning about that we made a sale that time, but what happened is I just hired the guy who was very new, and we trained him how to check the ID and classes and everything required for the town law and everything, sir. I own the other store too in the Hyannis, corner Fort Mart. And we are, since 2017, now 2023, we don't have even one food by any violation from our store. And the new guy, he checked the ID, sir. He checked the ID, but he didn't date of birth. He did a mistake on that. Not our, we know this is underage. He's not going to sell that. But he's the very, very new guy. He know check the ID. That's why he asked for. And if he don't know how to check the ID, then he just made the sale. Why he need to ask the ID? The ID is asked for him. The reason that we need to control, we need to ask the ID for the underage. That's the reason our employee also did. But he was very, very new, and he was, that time he did the mistake on that one. Enormous, and he's just starting the job. So many things he need to learn, so many things he need to do on the job, and there's a lot of line on the customer side, so he need to do it fast on the job, sir. So that time he asked the ID, but unfortunately, that my also unfortunate on that day that he made the sale on that. On all the judges and over here, and on my other side of the store, we didn't make any mistake on the corner foot mat. That in 7 years, nothing, even one mistake. So this time, I would like to request you for the forgiveness on this. We made a mistake, sir. All the judges here, I would like to request to void this one because this is not our intention. We did. Because
Unfortunately, it's out of our hands as far as the fine. It's a mandated, because this is a second offense.
yes, sir.
So it's state law. We have no say on whether the fine gets issued or not. All we can say is it happened or it didn't happen. And, you know, you're acknowledging it happened because the person did the wrong math on the ID. They checked the ID like they're supposed to, but they did the math wrong and didn't realize that the person was too young to be purchasing a tobacco product. So the only leeway we have is to issue either a 1-day suspension of your license or a 7-day suspension of your license.
Of course. I actually wanted to add to that.
Sure.
Since then, we added a new POS system where it shows the date of birth or the legal date right on this thing. And we also made it so added an extra step on the transaction process. So before the transaction even starts, it asks the cashier if he has checked the ID or not.
Yeah,
and
and that's
we're on the
a great
process
way
of
to
getting
do
a
it,
new
you know,
scanner.
to
Yeah.
take as much of the thought process out as possible. I've seen some convenience stores that have, like, taped right on the counter is, if they're born before this date, don't
Exactly.
sell them if they're born, you know, things like that. So
Right.
you have to make it, you know, easy for the employee as possible. I'm sorry, Bob, go ahead.
Mr. Chair, and that's an important point of the protocol that we use, is that the youth does not carry any ID into the store, only the money to purchase the product. So nobody would have actually checked an ID.
Oh, there was no ID.
No ID, no ID. You might, maybe you're thinking of something that you saw in your film or something, but no ID is carried into the store.
Oh, okay,
Pockets are empty except for money.
okay. So they didn't even ask for the ID because they couldn't have, because he didn't have one, so. But yeah, we have
Oh,
no,
no,
we
it
have
says
no.
he was asked.
Yes.
He was asked for ID.
Oh,
and
I
asked
mean,
for-
he
for his
didn't
age.
produce one.
Not right.
Yeah, that's what I mean. He was asked, but he didn't produce one because he didn't have one to produce. So, but it's out of our hands as far as the fine. It's mandated by state law. So, any board members, questions or comments?
So,
Did you get Tom?
so Bob?
Oh, sorry, Tom.
Mr. Chairman, this is a different date I want to tell you about. At the first offense, the Board of Health held a hearing on February 28th, 2023 for Austell General Store. The board voted to issue a $1,000 fine and a suspension date of March 5th, 2023, which has already passed. The $1,000 fine was mailed to the operator.
Okay, thank you.
So
Members of the board?
now that I'm reading this, so was the purchaser asked for ID? Yes. Was the purchaser asked his or her age? Yes. So they answered an age.
Right.
And was this an ID-based check? And no. So
Right, we're meaning that he
So
did
they
not
go
have an
in-
ID.
intentionally without an ID
Right,
and lie about their age.
no. Tells them their age, or if some retailers will mistakenly ask for a date of birth in lieu of an ID. You must have an ID. So if they ask for the date of birth, he gives it to them correctly, and then the sale is either made or not made based on that. But the mistake was already made anyway, that the ID was not checked. So,
At what
You
point
know.
do we call this entrapment?
not entrapment, if he's giving them his age and they make the sale anyway, knowing that he's only 18.
So we know that he gives them an age that's not a real age?
No, it's his
'cause you're
real age.
using people who are older?
No, never.
Thought you couldn't find people who were that age.
Well, we do. My oldest kid is 18 that I use, yeah, yeah. And so that's 3 years of leeway right there for anybody. So it tells me that people just aren't paying close attention to what they're doing, yeah.
Anyone else? Any questions, comments, board members? Anyone want to make a motion?
But the date is gone, though.
Can it die for lack of motion?
No, someone has to make a motion.
Yeah, but the
Make a motion.
date is already gone, so we cannot be concurrent.
It can't be concurrent,
No.
but
The
but
date's already gone, but
we can
issue
still do a one-day fine,
yeah,
a
one-day
one-day
suspension of
suspension.
license. Is there a particular day of the year that's best for you?
25th.
December 25th?
Yeah.
Okay.
Motion for a one-day suspension on December 25th.
Second.
I have a motion and a second before. All those in
Yeah,
favor of
you
a
already had.
one-day
March
suspension on December 25th?
Aye.
That's 4 approved. All those opposed? 1 opposed. That passes. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir.
Next, one, Sam's Food, Santuit Gulf, 4738 Falmouth Road in Katuitt. Bob?
Yes, on May 8th, 2023, at 10:51 a.m., 18-year-old male entered Sam's Santuit Gulf and successfully purchased a package of Black and Mild cigars for $10.63. Was not asked for ID.
Okay, thank you.
Good afternoon, sir. That day, I have problem in my gas station, and my employee, she's, confused that day because, my gas leaking on the floor, and she called 911, and fire brigades go there that day, and she confused. She go outside, check everywhere is, the gas, and she come inside, take the customer, then she run outside, and, that's why this happened.
Okay.
I'm sorry, because nobody perfect. Everybody have mistakes,
Yeah. I know one of the previous ones said, they're going to be able to set up their scanning system in their store to prompt always have to.
But sir,
date
that
and
time,
things, so-
excuse me, but they have all parkings full with the the peoples, and they the diesel everywhere on the floor. And she called. I'm not that time. Is my mom sick? I'm in Pakistan. She called me over there, and I told her, call 911. Then she called 911 because she have mind everywhere. She calling me Pakistan. She come working over there. She take care of the peoples. So that's why,
Yeah, it's unfortunate. I
Yeah,
understand. Yep. Okay. Tom?
For the first offense, the Board of Health held a hearing on February 28th, 2023, found him guilty, issued a fine of $1,000 and a one-day suspension on December 25th, 2023.
Okay. Members of the board, any comments or questions?
Well, how are these one-day suspensions gonna work if they've already got it suspended for another offense?
The
And they're
concurrent.
gonna get the same day for the second offense?
Yeah, it's
So they're gonna serve two penalties on one day?
That's what concurrent.
That seems
You know-
like the law, that doesn't follow the law. I mean, I'm not a lawyer, thank God.
No, but you ever heard a judge will issue like concurrent sentences?
Excuse me.
Things like that?
You know how
Same
to
thing.
make. It's not easy to make money. We make penny,
I
penny.
understand that. I don't have
The
any-
people's working for us. We
I don't
pay
have
him,
any
and they
enjoyment
make
in
mistake, and
finding-
we pay $1,000 for $1.
Yeah, I understand.
Black and mild.
Yeah, I
This is
understand.
not our mistake. We gave him the people, for working. Plus, they make a mistake, and we pay the fines.
Yeah, I understand.
It's not easy. We work hard to make money, penny, penny. This time we pay $1,000 to the taxes, this, that, everywhere.
I'm on your side. I'm sympathetic. I'm like
Can I mention that
but I
these-
just, when
Easy to say
we-
anything,
It's a law.
If you go,
You
can
appeal
I
this.
Okay.
understand, sir.
Take it down a notch, okay?
Yes, sir.
Take it down a notch, because I'm on your side, but I'm not going to be yelled at.
No,
okay?
no.
'Cause our hands are tied.
Yes, sir.
Okay, this is a fine that has to be issued, so
Yes,
I
sir.
don't like it. I don't
Yes, sir.
like what I'm doing to my neighbors and my fellow townspeople.
Aye,
It
sir.
irritates me, but
Yes,
I'm not
sir.
going to be yelled at.
Yes,
Thank
sir.
you.
I know. I
I
just
Mr.
Thank you.
Chairman,
explaining, sir.
Enough.
I'd like to mention, when I mail the non-criminal ticket citation to you, you have options on that. You don't have to pay right away. You can select the option to appeal to the clerk magistrate. That's another option on this ticket. It's just like getting a traffic ticket if you get pulled over. You can check off a different box and wait for a scheduled hearing before the clerk magistrate, and you can go to that hearing.
How
This
many
is
people
not-
are there hearings in front of?
These are non-criminal ticket
They choose to go
citations.
before a magistrate?
They are
It's an
not,
option for all fines, whether it's a
Oh.
building code violation or anything. If you,
and maybe you could speak to that, Bob, if
Well,
you had.
not non-criminal disposition because you're limited to $300 on those. They're not non-criminal disposition tickets at this point because they exceed $300, the fines.
I see.
Yeah.
But they can appeal to the clerk magistrate, correct?
And maybe under your system, no, and, you know, right.
okay,
Okay, so I have a question.
sure, go ahead.
You're forcing me to be creative here.
I don't know what to do.
I understand. So clearly it was hitting the fan that day.
I understand.
Can we suspend consideration of this?
I mean, but not, I don't know the exact answer to that, but personally, I wouldn't support just kicking the can down the road for something they know. I mean, there is a law in the state that says if you sell to someone you have to card everyone over 27 that looks at 27 or younger. You have to present ID to buy tobacco in Massachusetts anywhere. So, like Bob said, they're walking in with no ID, just cash in their pocket. So they're violating like 3 or 4 different laws when they, make the transaction of the sale. So I have compassion because I think this is wrong. I agree with you, all this fine, but that's a state legislative, issue, not mine. We're here to find out, did it happen or did it not happen? If we feel as though Bob's not presenting enough evidence, we can say, nope, it didn't happen. But then he's going to bring in, it's going to be appealed by the alcohol board, because they're not going to be happy that the town board of health is not supporting their works, and they're going to bring in witnesses and everything else, and it's just, I don't want to go down that road either. So I understand but I can't support that.
Yeah.
It's just, it's a crap sandwich, and everyone has
Yeah.
to take a bite, and you just have to be vigilant in selling to anyone. That if you're going to take on the responsibility of selling tobacco while also running a gas station or a service station or a grocery store or something else, you have to, there's a
Yeah,
certain
I
amount of
get it.
responsibility that goes with that right. If you get the license to sell, you have responsibilities. And so I go a certain way, but then I'm like,
Yeah,
okay,
all right.
you're still responsible. Tom?
No, I still go with the fine and then just have the concurrent on that day, December the 25th.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor? All those opposed? This passes 3-2. Thank you.
Sorry, sir.
Okay, thank you. Next one, Tobacco Master, 606 Main Street, Hyannis.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Asim Jamal. I'm representing the Tobacco Master as a manager. We had the new girl in the first time who made a mistake, and now I just changed the shirts. This is the old girl who knew everything, and she still made a mistake. I was like, she said, the guy looked like all right, he has a beard, he's tall. I have the video of it, and she said, it looks like he's over 21. I say, there's no, I don't know what to say right now. She said, looks all right. He looks over 21, and she just made the sale. I'm like, if somebody looks underage, definitely. I have 2 other stores that have been running for like 15, 20 years in this town. I never had a single problem. This one, as girls working in, but the new employees, they don't care what business owners has to go through. They're on the phone, they're doing like this, they're making the sales, and we have to pay for it, which is, it is what it is. Take it as a,
yeah, I
I don't
sympathize.
want to see come back here and again, but I'm here now.
one of the things about growing up on Cape Cod is you
I
get
know.
jobs in the summer working
Yeah.
as bouncers and bartenders and I remember
They make me
being
smoke.
responsible for carding
Yeah.
people and being yelled at by the manager that nobody gets through the door. I don't care if they look like George
Yeah.
Burns, everyone has to show an ID. And if it's not 21 and you let them in, you're fired. So I remember having that responsibility. I know what it's like, and I know making mistakes, and
Yep.
it's
Do
unfortunate.
you require all the clerks to card somebody to check?
Yes, I have the
Is-
system.
So
They
the
can scan
one
it, I
that
have
did
this-
this just didn't check.
She said he looks over 21. Like he has a
Yeah, but
beard,
that's
tall
not-
guy.
Yeah,
you
so,
know.
but it's not what they look like,
Yeah,
what the card says.
yeah.
So, I don't know what you can do with that.
And I like to request Mr. Bob. I understand he's going to all the other places, like the people who already have licenses to sell. But there's some places in the Hyannis on the main street. They don't have no tobacco licenses. They don't have anything to sell, but they are still selling in their places. I've been to the couple. I don't want to say the names of it, but I would like him to go to that places. They're selling vapes without even licenses. So I think they are better than us. So nobody can give them ticket or anything.
Well, if you
I know them
yeah,
personally.
if you're aware of violations like that, I mean, you can just call the town.
I just don't want to be that guy.
Yeah, well, you
You know
can.
what I'm saying? But I'm just saying
you can call anonymously
Yeah.
and call the town regulatory boards that cover licensing and issues,
Yeah.
and they'll send out
I've
someone
been-
to
I've
invest. They'll send town employees out to investigate it.
2-3 days ago, I went to this place. They had a nice display of the waste, but they don't have no license. It's
Yeah.
like a clothing store. I was like, I didn't say nothing, but people were telling me that they're selling stuff. I was like, okay.
Yeah,
I'm just saying that if he's doing that, maybe they can take a look on some other places too.
make some suggestions
Yeah.
to them. I'm sure he'd be happy to.
Yep.
Okay.
Maybe we could hire someone to go in to all the stores on Main Street, try to buy cigarettes.
You're retired, right? You could-
They don't have, you need a card.
You'd be the happiest day ever if they carded you. Tom?
Yes, for the first offense, there was a hearing held on February 28th, 2023, for Tobacco Master, and was found guilty. A $1,000 fine was mailed to the owner, and a one-day suspension of December 25th, 2023 was issued by the Board of Health.
Okay, thank you.
I have to admit that, clearly I have an issue with this.
As I do too.
You come in here with $5,000, I want to see the person who walked in, and I'm going to not believe that it was sold to somebody who appeared to be underage if they don't appear to be underage. Because as ridiculous as I think $2,000 is, I think $5,000 is unconscionable. I'm an obstetrician. I don't like smoking. I have no issue with trying to prevent smoking. I do have an issue with trying to drive our businesses out of business. And when he says that, she said the guy looked older, well, I'd kind of like to see him myself. I'd like make a motion to have the concurrent on December 25th, one-day suspension.
A second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor? All those opposed? 3 in favor, 2 opposed. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Next one, United Gas, 199 Falmouth Road, Hyannis.
Good afternoon. I'm Ravi Basil, owner of United Gas. So I'm in the
Hold
same.
on a second, let Bob
I'm sorry.
give the,
So at 12:34 p.m. on May 8th, 2023, an 18-year-old male entered United Gas at 199 Falmouth Road and successfully purchased a black and mild cigar and was not asked for ID.
okay, thank you. Now, go ahead.
So I'm in the same boat like everyone else. I don't have anything to add. I'm willing to take the fine and suspension. I mean, it's the second time happen. And if I have the option to just replace this employee, I would have done it. But unfortunately, I don't have anybody waiting on my door who wanna work. I have several gas stations, and it is what it is, to be honest with you. I cannot say, I mean, it's right to sell someone under 18. I did everything I could the first time, sign, like check an ID, like ID calculator and everything, and it still happened. So that's where I am right now. So
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
What is the breaking point where tobacco is no longer worth selling? Like, if this keep happens, like if you look at your annual profit off of selling tobacco versus the fines and stuff, what's the breaking point where you say, forget it, I'm just going to focus on selling gas?
I'm not a smoker, so I don't care about tobacco. I mean, selling tobacco on my store, and probably like, I mean, if I lose my license, I mean, I don't want to say I care less because it's a part of the business.
Right.
Unfortunately, having a convenience store without like tobacco, I mean, no one's gonna come in. Or having a convenience store without lottery, it's the same thing. People are not just gonna walk in to just have soda and leave. They can get it from anywhere. So unfortunately, those things are part of the business. If you don't have it, so might as well not open a convenience store. That's why.
Okay.
You know.
Tom?
For the first offense, the Board of Health held a hearing on February 28th against United Gas and was found guilty. A $1,000 fine was issued and a suspension date of December 25th, 2023.
Okay.
Your turn, Tom.
Could I have motion to issue the fine of $2,000 and the suspensions on the December the 25th concurrently with the last one?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor? All those opposed? It's 3-2. It passes. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next item, West Main Gas, 577 West Main Street, Hyannis, map parcel 269-003.
David Lawler on behalf of West Main Gas. This is Eli Noom,
Thank you.
the operator.
Bob?
Yes, at 11:31 a.m. on May 8th, 2023, an 18-year-old male entered West Main Gas and Diesel and successfully purchased a package of Black and Mild cigars and was not asked for ID.
Unlike the other people, we can test this issue, whether it actually happened. The Commonwealth in this situation has the burden of proof. This is, as indicated by the gentleman beside me, that this, because it's over $300, would be, I initially thought it was preponderance of the evidence, but if it's criminal, then it would be beyond a reasonable doubt, would be the standard. In the issuance of this action, and I know that hearsay is allowable in these proceedings. Now, we can test a couple of things. The situation here is that the date of the offense is alleged to have occurred on May 8th, 2023. And the letter that went out is dated July 19th. Over 2 months past the alleged offense before any notice was provided. Now, I know the Commonwealth is very well aware that most of these establishments have video surveillance systems so you can check, and my client has about 20-something cameras in his place in order to check whether or not someone came in and did a purchase or whatnot. But most of those systems, they re-loop after 2 weeks or a month, and certainly the Commonwealth is aware of that. And the lack of, the Commonwealth has an obligation, number one, to prosecute these matters in a timely and efficient manner so that my client can defend itself. That indicates, because there's really no proof. If you look at this tobacco compliance form, and I apologize, I thought the board was 3, not 5. I have 3 copies, if I may approach.
Sure.
Of the form, you may already have them with you. Do you have this form that occurred? You already
Yeah,
have
we,
one, Tom?
yeah, we get
Okay.
them.
Yeah, we get those.
Yeah, we get copies on.
There you go, Mr. Cantara. You have that? Yeah, thank you.
Oh, yeah, I have it too.
Now, with respect to this form, I want to point out some issues that are great concern. And again, first of all, there's a question about a receipt. And it indicates that no receipt was obtained. How do we have proof that something was purchased from the establishment? And this particular document is unsigned. The individual who allegedly obtained this information is not here. We don't have his or her name or any other information, an affidavit or anything of that effect, which would bring forth the information. More importantly, the information is wrong. The allegation contained herein says that the Black and Mild cigars, which I have a package right here, and I'd like to submit this to the board as evidence. If you see right here, and I have a video of the package being scanned, if you see and I have it on my phone, and I can show it to the board, but I think you can also do the math. That's $5.95. These are all electronic systems where they get scanned. It's indicated that the gentleman or female, because we don't know who it was, or woman, paid $6.32. Well, if you multiply $5.95 by 6.25%, you come up with $6.36, not $6.32. So the math is wrong. Okay? They don't even. My client will indicate, if you want to swear him in, that he doesn't sell any tobacco products, where it's with the tax included comes to a price of $6.32. He does not sell those within the store. So whether or not the Commonwealth has an obligation at these proceedings to show reasonableness. You have a situation where you have no ID, you have no witness, you have information that is factually wrong, and we suggest to you that, and we have also no ability to render a defense. There's a situation here with an adult. Okay, my client runs a gas station. They probably have, how many male employees? 6 or 7 male employees. An adult male, how old? What did he look like? Did he have facial hair? Did he have blue eyes or brown eyes? Did he have blonde hair or brown hair? We don't know. We can't identify it because the Commonwealth failed to provide any information which this board could reasonably rely upon to show that they met their burden. And I suggested that they haven't. It's their burden. I can't unprove a negative. How can I, people will sit there, well, and that's why way back when, in this great country of ours, they actually put the evidence, it's the Commonwealth's burden. My client doesn't have to prove anything. This is a quasi-criminal situation. He could just sit here and keep his mouth shut without saying a word. It's their burden to prove their case. They can't. They have the wrong amount of money. They don't identify who sold it. And more importantly, as indicated previously by Dr. I'm terrible pronouncing your last name. These indications of entrapment. I mean, the fact that it took 2 months to get the letter out and prevented any level of defense here is horrific. And we ask that the Commonwealth fail to meet its burden in this situation and that no fine issue.
Members of the board, anyone have any questions?
Convinced me. Although I did get 632, by the way. When I did the math,
No,
I.
do you mind if I approach?
So, I had a question.
That's okay. It was only one of the points.
I had a couple
There's a
questions.
Barnstable tax, too.
There's a state tax and a Barnstable
Oh,
tax.
okay.
Okay, on top of the 6, yeah.
So,
I have a video. I can show it to you.
yeah, that was my
That's
next
right.
question, is that part of what you said was it was beyond the time that video would be available, but then you said, no, we have,
I have a video of my client scanning the same product into the
oh, the
machine.
same product.
And I'm sorry, I misspoke.
Okay.
You'll see with the Barnstable tax that,
I didn't realize we had an additional tax. That's 636.
636 on the town of Barnstable. So what apparently happened here is nothing happened, and this gentleman just made up the tax. So, because he probably didn't realize it was a Barnstable tax well, and he made up information and put it falsely on the form, and that's what occurred. I'm just.
It is pretty clear that I disagree with this. I think that we have an employee who tries very, very hard to do his job and
I'm
do
not
his
Jim,
job
this gentleman
well.
right here, but.
Well, he's the one sitting here, though.
Well, no, I mean, he's not the one who went into the store. He clearly is not 18 years old, no offense.
At least 30.
Neither am I.
No offense taken
At least
to that.
22. And I understand he's doing it. I'm not accusing you of doing anything on that. What I'm saying is that things happen. People make mistakes. The gentleman that testified before, well, the Commonwealth can make a mistake too. And this is a situation where the Commonwealth made a mistake. The math is incorrect. And there's nobody identified. So I suggest to you that they have not met their burden.
Bob, you want to answer
Yes,
some of
Mr. Chair, I would Just for clarification, when the youth comes out of the store and a purchase has been made, before we actually put the purchase price down, we count the change and do the math right on the spot. How much did you pay? $632. Then I count the change to make sure that that's accurate. And so that is the actual price that was paid. Prices do change from week to week sometimes. There are all kinds of buy downs and price fluctuations that occur in this industry. So I can promise you without a shadow of a doubt that this was the price that was paid. And without a shadow of a doubt that the young man that works for me is unimpeachable character.
And there's no, you didn't have a receipt, right?
No, they don't ask for they'll take one if it's offered.
Right, but I'm just saying.
It's so uncommon to ask for a receipt
Right.
for any. Have
It
you ever
could have
seen
been-
me?
I mean, we're talking about 4 cents here.
Right.
The cashier could have just given the wrong change because when they come out, here's what he went in with, here's what the.
Right,
left
and
over,
oftentimes
this is what
that
they
does
paid.
happen. Say something costs $1.05.
Right.
The kid might give them $5 bill. They don't want to make change for 95 cents or something. They just go, give me $1. So
But that's, Mr. Norman, first of all, again, in speculation, I believe has to fall on behalf of, not on behalf of the Commonwealth, it has to fall on our behalf. It's their
I
burden.
understand the argument you make, I really do. But if you had video of a transaction and you could show me exactly that ID was shown or something, because here's the thing, Mr. Lawler, what you're asking the board to do is we have to rule one of 2 ways. Either someone comes forward and goes, yep, it happened, it was my employee, and made a mistake for the second time in less than 6 months, I'm so sorry, but I understand, and this is unfair, and I agree with them. But what you're asking us to do, for me personally, is you want me to somehow think that this didn't happen, or muddy the waters that this. I mean,
John, it's the law, and the law is.
I understand.
May I speak?
I understand. If we issue a fine, okay, like they said, it comes with the right to appeal it to the magistrate. Then it becomes a court, and you can make your challenges and accusations.
But you are a court, and I suggest to you. You're a quasi in this situation.
And if you had a video that you could put your hands on and show me that this person did not walk in and did not, this transaction never happened like that. But because all I'm looking for, if you're asking me to prove it, is you're asking me to say that a state employee who's charged with enforcement lied or made a mistake or didn't do it.
Exactly, made a mistake.
Because all you've proven to me is that somebody gave 4 cents wrong in change. That's all you've proven. You didn't prove to me the transaction didn't happen. You didn't prove to me that someone was sold cigarettes without providing an ID, because we just heard that they walked into all of these people with no ID. So right away they're in violation of not checking an ID, correct?
But may I address what you're saying? If you
Sure,
listen to your
sure.
own words, Mr.
Sure.
Norman, you're saying what I haven't proven. This is the United States. I don't have to prove anything.
This is not-
no,
this
please.
is-
It is.
It's not
It's a
a
criminal
criminal.
ticket. There's a burden of, even if it's preponderance of the evidence.
Okay.
I have no, please let me speak.
Sure, go ahead.
Okay. I don't have a burden to prove anything, and with respect to the video, I can't produce a video because they took 2 months to get a letter out.
Okay.
And I am prohibited from defending my client because all they had to do was go in and tell the employee that day, as they do with the liquor violations, you know what? We just had an underage person by. You're in violation. That puts them on notice. The Commonwealth didn't put the store on notice for 2 months. We had absolutely no burden to meet. They have a burden. They have not met it. Now, with respect to the money, this is on the box. It's $5.95. Those machines calculate the change, and they have to pull it out. And it's not because someone rounded down, because there was certain pennies were involved, because it's $6.32, and a penny would have been involved at the correct price. So it's not somebody not trying to deal with pennies. It's their burden, and I suggest to you, you uphold the law and require that if the Commonwealth wants to appeal it, that's their decision. But I think it's the burden of this board to uphold the law, and the law being that they have failed to show beyond a preponderance, or certainly beyond a reasonable doubt, that my client did anything wrong. And that's the issue. I'm not suggesting someone, I'm throwing out theories out there. You can make your mind up. But they have a burden to prove it, and they haven't proved it. They haven't produced a receipt. Oh, we don't want to ask for a receipt because it's uncomfortable. You know what? Go in there, ask for a receipt. Again, that goes towards entrapment, making it more difficult. Prove your case. We don't have a receipt, and it's not, prices didn't go up or go down. It's on the box. It's $5.95. It's put on there by the manufacturer.
Okay,
So the evidence has not been met.
Okay, thank you. So I have a quick question. So this is the second violation. When the first
Alleged violation.
Huh?
Alleged violation.
Okay, this is the second alleged violation. When the first violation happened, was the time frame between the time the incident happened and you received that letter similar? Did you also have to wait 2 months before the date you received the letter showing there was a violation?
His father, I don't have that information. His father was running the company at that time.
Tom, do you have when the
The violations occurred, if you recall, January 9th, 2023, and there was a December 28th, 2022 violation that occurred, 2 violations, but it was determined that there was no violation on December 28th. I don't recall the details of that, but it was determined by this board that no violation occurred on December.
Is it typical, Tom, that the date of the violation by the time we receive all the paperwork and stuff and then send out the notice of violation, is it typically a 2-month?
Typically,
month and a
we
half,
try
2
to
months?
we try to get the letters out within a month or 6 weeks,
But these were scheduled before.
and we had to
We had to cancel
we
it
had to
twice.
cancel.
So when did the first letter go out to?
Sharon can answer that letter. The first letter was in June, I believe.
Yeah, last year.
June or July.
No, I'm just trying to establish that so Mr. Lawler's correct in his assumption that when I misspoke and said, the burden of proof. The burden of proof I'm trying to get to is that you have to prove that he's wrong.
No,
So
I
that's
don't.
why I asked
I don't.
that he
That's
has
not the
video
law,
to
John.
show. Well, because if you're asking, he has presented his case. He has an employee that went into the store, bought something, wasn't carded.
Can't
didn't
identify
walked out.
who sold it to him, can't
And-
identify how much he paid for it, can't do anything. He didn't meet his burden.
Okay, well, everyone else and every other time that this has been before this board, that's been sufficient for me because I trust that they're doing their job and they're doing it correctly. You're contesting that, so all I'm asking you for is show me that he didn't send someone into that store on that date and that time at 11:31 a.m. on May 8th, 2023. Did someone come into your store and purchase that
Mr.
product?
Mr. Norman,
And
that's
then
not
that's
the-
all. 'Cause
that's not the law.
You're telling me don't believe him, so
well, no.
show me. Don't. I
Okay,
want
what
to.
I'm
I want to be
what
on
I'm
your side,
sugge- what I'm
but all you're
suggesting-
showing me is a 4-cent difference.
No, I'm not showing you a 4 cent. I'm showing you someone who can't identify the individual who did it, who can't identify the person who actually went in and bought it, has never mentioned their name, or
because
and there's no and this document's not signed. I mean, it's not. You're confusing
Hold
the
on
law.
a second. Dr. Guadagnoli has a
Yeah.
question.
Yeah, doctor.
Well, it's not so much a question. I mean,
Oh, he has a statement.
First of all, he convinced me.
Okay, that's fine.
And the difference between this and the others, I think, is somebody hired an attorney.
Mhm.
None of the other people hired an attorney who actually knew what to contest or what the obligation was of the state trying to go after someone, which is really what this is. It is the state going after somebody. And there are obligations if the state is going to go after somebody for allegedly making a mistake, for them to prove something. And, the fact that, quite honestly, what I was doing was stumbling around because although most physicians I've met think they'd make excellent lawyers, excellent accountants, and excellent everything else, my bias has always been, if you have a legal question, ask a lawyer. He did. And when he asked a lawyer, he said, well, is this hole and this hole and this hole and this hole? Okay, those holes are good enough for me, to be honest, to say, well, all right, sorry. There's validity to the argument. And, as far as the tax goes and the pennies go, but, and now clearly my bias is I didn't like this to begin with, so I am going to have a tendency to go with an argument that makes sense to me. But on the other hand, he's right. It is the United States. We're not supposed to have to defend ourselves. We're supposed to be innocent until proven guilty.
I understand. I just want to clarify my position. but this is not a court of law. It's we're did this happen or didn't it happen? So we have someone who says, this happened on this date in this transaction violating the law.
And someone who says, no, it didn't.
Right,
And
so-
had you told me about it, I could have produced a tape. to
And
give-
that's
to
why
give
I was
evidence.
getting at, on the first violation, if they knew that the paperwork doesn't come in for 2 months, wouldn't you take your video camera system and say, I'm going to put a 6-month loop on it instead of a 2-month or a 30-day loop on
We've
it?
come, this country's come to
DVD.
that point where the state is going to make us change our system, so we think the state is going to, drop its boot on us, that we have to record everything for 6 months? Please, John.
Well,
Don't confuse the country with where the
I mean,
state of
with the state, I'm
Massachusetts
sorry.
has
I
gotten
mean,
to.
it's, that's a little Jack Bootian.
I got a parking ticket that I beat because I had a camera in my car that runs even when my truck is parked, and it showed that the violation thing had not flipped over yet and was close, and they wrote the ticket prior to the thing flipping over, which my camera showed.
But it's not your
I
obligation.
didn't. It wasn't
Yeah,
my
you trust the
obligation to
state
show it,
employee.
but it was my
you're-
defense.
but
It
you're-
was my
hold on,
defense.
but-
I was
but,
defending myself.
John, your
saying-
testimony
so
would have been
they-
equally as
They looked at it and they said,
Not
"Oh,
equally as
you
powerful, but
defended yourself." That's
Equally
all.
admissible.
That's I understand. Okay, we've gone long enough with this. So, is anyone any other questions?
Do you want to hear?
Yeah, Tom, go ahead.
On February 28th, the Board of Health held a hearing against West Main Gas because of violations which occurred on January 9th and December 28th, 2022. The board found guilty on one of the violations, so a $1,000 fine was issued with a suspension date of December 25th, 2023.
Okay, so clearly there's some question. I'm open to a motion.
I'd like to make a motion to dismiss that there hasn't been sufficient evidence to prove that it occurred. And if that's what we are obligated to do,
That's
I'm not
sufficient.
convinced that it occurred.
Okay, I have a motion.
Discussion. I think it might be a burden of the attorney to appeal a decision of this.
Who?
I don't know. I have a motion before me, though. Need a second to forward? Anyone going to second? No. Motion does not carry. Looking for another motion?
I'll do a motion for $1,000 fine with the 1-day suspension on the 25th, concurrently.
Second offense, $2,000 fine.
Right, 2,000, sorry, 2,000. And then the concurrent suspension on the December the 25th.
I have another motion.
I'll second
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor? All those opposed? It passes 4-1.
Thank you,
Thank you for your
gentlemen.
time.
Yep, thank you.
Next item on the agenda, body artists, new licensing, Taylor Lindsay and Stephen Von Statz, owners of Hotline Tattoo, are applying for a new body artist, Catherine Terrio, at 64 Enterprise Road in Hyannis.
Hi, my name is Taylor Lindley. I'm the owner of Hotline Tattoo. I'm asking for the board's approval for a new body artist, Catherine Terrio, who would be a new employee of ours. I'm also requesting...
Excuse me. I'm sorry, can I ask you to get the speaker a little closer?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah.
Thank you.
I'm also requesting a variance.
Is your mic on?
Lean
Is
over.
it on?
Is it green button?
Lean over. Okay. Yeah. All right. I'm also requesting a variance for anatomy and physiology. She has taken a skin course in Springfield, Mass. As a replacement for anatomy and physiology. Also, she could not attain her doctor records for her hepatitis B vaccination, but she has begun her vaccination process again. So she has had her first shot, and she has appointments for her next ones.
Okay, thank you for the rationale. This is a public hearing. Any members of the public that would like to speak on this item? Seeing none, close the public hearing. Staff?
I just wanted to say that this was one of the courses that the board decided to accept without a variance. It meets the
Yeah,
criteria.
I have a question. Yeah, I have no objections to this because it's Save Each Life, which is approvable. It's just tattoos only, no piercing, correct?
No piercings, no.
Yeah, we have no objections to this.
Members of the board? Comments or questions?
Motion to approve.
I have a
Second.
motion approved. I have a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
It's unanimous. Thank you very much.
Awesome, thank you.
Good luck. Thank you, Sharon. Next item on the agenda, regulation policies, proposed revision to section 385-7 of the Town of Barnstable Code, hiring of outside consultants.
I'm recommending this proposed revision to section 385-7 of the Town of Barnstable Code, hiring of outside consultants. I also ran this by Assistant Town Attorney McLaughlin. As you can see in your draft, what I've added are words are in red to include the Federal Food Code, the State Sanitary Code 105 CMR 590. This is to allow the Board of Health or the Health Department to request an outside consultant to review HACCP plans, hazard analysis critical control point plans, which can sometimes be very extensive and take multiple hours of review by a health inspector, time that a health inspector does not have for this sort of thing when they need to conduct inspections and other duties. The regulation is already in effect for hiring consultants for reviewing septic system plans. This is just to add the ability to hire a food professional to review HACCP plans.
I got this one here.
For example,
You have one.
vacuum packaging, sous vide, various types of Chinese preparation of food require HACCP plans. But our staff just doesn't have that 10 or 15 hours to review a HACCP plan for a restaurant. And sometimes an outside consultant is requested to assist the health inspector with those reviews or to take over the entire review.
And this is prior to the issuance of a license?
No, sometimes the permit is already issued and they want to add another food product.
So the cost is borne by the applicant?
Yes, that's what we're asking, not by the health department.
So this is just to give you some backup if it's a more complex analysis than what you normally do.
Right.
How expensive is that?
They can charge, we talked to one company that charges $150 per hour to review these plans. And it could take several hours of back and forth exchange, communications, and then
Do you have to get approval of this from the town manager and/or the town attorney?
for this,
Yeah.
oh yeah, I already sent the assistant town attorney. They suggested I can go.
Town attorneys approved this?
Well, they looked at it and said I can go to the Board of Health with this minor revision.
All right.
To answer Dr. Guadagnoli, in some cases, we're asking ask the consultant to take over the entire review because it's so extensive. If it's something simple, a few hours, certainly a health inspector or less would look at it, but we've had some that have taken so much time. Time that a health inspector doesn't have.
Comments or questions? So do we do a vote on this, Sharon, for adoption, or
Yeah, it would have to, it's a regulation.
is it, does it require any type of notice or hearing, so we,
I'm aware of, right? It's just
posting?
a-
Are we good with all postings or anything? Nothing?
Do you know of anything?
I know that, Chairman, in the past, you've asked to have a second hearing so that in case there's any more public comment, I'm open to that. It doesn't have to be
Yeah,
today.
'cause for some reason, I think that, that it gets read in, and then it gets posted, we let it till the next meeting,
Yeah,
and then
sure,
we
that's
actually
fine.
vote
Yeah.
on it, so if someone from the
You
public
have
has.
to publicly post it, put it in the newspaper? Or?
We don't have to, but what we can do is email all the food establishments, let them know that this is on the next agenda, for example, if they have any
Probably
comments.
That'd be a good thing.
Okay, so we'll continue this then to our next meeting. What's that, September 25th meeting, to be voted on at that time. That'll give full 30 days for public comment or review and postings.
You know, it's interesting that the agendas for the boards of health, like in Brewster and Dennis and Bourne, at least those three towns, once in a while, Wellfleet, I've seen published in the newspaper. But town of Barnstable doesn't publish anything in the news, except sometimes they have the things that are done by boards other than, and departments, other than the health department.
It usually ends up being the size of the town's IT department, because if the town has an established full-time IT department, then they meet the state posting regulations online. And if they don't have the IT department big enough to do it, they usually just take a copy of it, send it to the newspaper, and post to the newspaper, and then that meets the state obligation of posting.
Let me try to answer this
I
question.
mean, for instance, the Board of Health here, the agenda's not online, is it?
Yeah, it's
Oh,
online.
it is?
It is
It
online.
is, that's right before the meeting.
Yeah.
Has to be 48 hours, yep, at least.
Yeah.
Yeah, like the Town of Barnstable's website, if you go to it, like every single board's, the members, the meeting minutes, everything's posted, video is posted. You can pull up a meeting, from 3 months ago and watch the whole meeting online. You can see the meeting minutes, you can see the agenda, everything, so.
I just want to say, if it's a septic system regulation that the board is proposing, that has to be in the newspaper for
newspaper.
2 consecutive weeks in
Yeah.
the newspaper.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
that's written into the law.
Yeah.
The other thing I just want to add is, if there is a significant change in terms of the regulations, then you
Well,
want to put it on.
conservation sometimes in the
Correct.
newspaper, but not all the time.
Not all the time, unless there's a significant change on that regulation. Then we're required to put it on the newspaper to get the public comment.
See, like, there's situations now where Tom's staff can request a consultant, because it's enumerated in, this is just adding now federal food code, state sanitary code, it's adding,
Yeah.
the consulting thing is already there, so it's just a minor change, so.
Right.
But it's adding the food establishments, all right. So that was, do we need to take a vote on continuing, or,
No,
We
just
have
table
made
it.
a habit of it.
okay,
Just
That's
to,
fine.
should I do a hand vote? Raise hands?
Yeah, it's fine.
yeah, motion to continue to our next meeting.
So, second?
All those in favor? Aye, thank you. So
right,
we
thank
said we
you.
did it. And there's, meeting minutes are not available, and we're still working on draft policies for the connecting public sewer and the temporary holding tanks. Yep, thank you.
What do you have? Somebody's having meetings with the DPW about that?
No.
No, we
No,
don't have a meeting.
Temporary holding tanks are located.
I did, Tom Lee asked me to send them
I
today
want
to everybody, which I did.
want to ask a copy so that I want to look at it and trying to get back to the DEP to revise that questions that I have, and just want to finalize it before coming back to the final versions.
Now, you distinguish between temporary holding tanks and tight tanks? There's
Yeah.
no distinction, they're
No.
the same thing, right?
Right.
Physically, but sometimes it's what it's called.
Yeah.
That makes the difference of approval.
I added the word temporary to make it distinctively different to
Right.
DEP, but that didn't work.
Yeah, I'll try it again. I will try.
So with that, it concludes our meeting. Motion to adjourn?
Second?
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
We're adjourned. Thank you so much.